People ask me what I do, and I very often say to them that my job isn't to tell stories, it's to help people tell their stories. Got a big patch, it's about 1,200 square miles or thereabout. It's about 370,000 people across the patch. It's bigger than Luxembourg. We've got some quite big towns in the likes of Ayr, Kilmarnock, Irvine, but then also a lot of smaller towns, quite a lot of rural communities. So to be able to get the best out of the patch and to try and really cover it, being nimble is important and being able to get round about. So that's why I find myself more and more relying on using the phone to shoot things.
It's completely transformed what we do. So when I first started in a newsroom, we shared a mobile phone. We had to sign it out. We had 3, earth, wind and fire. And that was, the level of our mobile phone use. So, it was literally for contacting the office to tell them I'm coming back, I'm safe. Now we go out and we can broadcast from our mobile phone. We're sending material back. We're in constant communication through apps such as WhatsApp. I remember there were some floods in 2007, and that was the sort of first time I really saw the power of, people giving us material. So in 1 week we had 20,000 pictures, which was unprecedented. But if you think this was a time when cameras on phones were just beginning.
I went out for a few interviews. I was interviewing a young guy about what it's like to move from a really rural community to the city, and he was quite nervous. So when I showed up with my big camera, he was quite shy. I wasn't really getting answers out of him, but the battery ended up dying, so I had to use my phone. And he was, as soon as I pulled out my phone, he was like so much more relaxed. It wasn't as intimidating having this huge big equipment. I was like, just a casual, and it was the same interview. I'd said the same things. I was like, it's just a casual interview, but that immediately made him so much more relaxed and so much more willing to talk, and I got such a better interview out of it.
If I know a piece is going to be packaged, I tend to choose the camera, especially if it's something that's been a bit more pre-planned, because you've got the time to set up, you've got the time to get it right, and the camera usually kind of offers you, I would say, a more consistent result. I tend to choose the mobile phone, the iPhone, to shoot things if speed's involved, if I need to get it back very quickly to our headquarters in Glasgow so it can broadcast, fairly quickly, or if I don't have time to do anything with the footage, if it's footage that I'm passing on, again, I would usually choose the phone. It also offers you quite a quick setup usually, but it doesn't offer you the consistency of the cameras yet, I don't think. So I would still usually choose the camera where I know I've got time.
And was there any concerns with the audio being so near a road and so much background noise?
I think it's quite funny because quite often people try to avoid any background noise, and I come from a radio background where I love background noise. I think it really can make the difference to a piece. So this is a piece that I'm shooting about road conditions and about potholes, so I don't think there's any harm in a bit of traffic noise there. If I'd shot it on the phone, I would have used the same microphone as I used with my VJ camera there, just with a different preamp unit to put it into the phone. So the sound result probably isn't that different, but again, just having the camera, I had a little bit more control because I've got a volume control, a gain control that I can just grab, and I don't have to go searching through menus to find it. And again, it just gives me a slightly more reliable alternative to the phone. But in other situations, I couldn't work without the mobile phone. Morning.
A quick look back to Friday. I mean, it was end of a week, wasn't it? It was kind of strange. It's almost like all a dream when you walked in here today. It was really quite a mental week for everybody. I think it was quite. I mean, the output was terrific in terms of all the efforts that people made to try and get in, get out, get coverage, and get stuff on whether it's like camera or phone or live or as live or like the Gero or truck or whatever. I mean, I think it's quite.
You're not able to get things delivered quickly. So, for example, we've had some really bad weather recently, and quite often in that situation, the option of driving back to base to cut things has not been an option. Quite often I've not been able to even get to somewhere where I could send the stuff from. So to be able to do it from the phone just allowed me to quickly shoot things, quickly pick up interviews and get them sent back to Glasgow and be back out covering my patch.
So you get the person in the mobile phone to the location. You might not be able to get a huge truck doesn't matter. You can broadcast live from your mobile phone. So it's completely transformed what we do and how we do it.
The one drawback of using the iPhone versus using a traditional camera is that it's not as versatile. It doesn't allow you quite as much control, particularly of the shot. I use an adapter to plug a decent quality mic in and a preamp, so the sound's always good. But it is a problem sometimes just having the full control of the shot. For example, if you're trying to zoom into things, it's never quite as good. And also, if the light's moving around a lot, it's not as easy as just grabbing the iris ring on a traditional VJ camera to be able to just adjust the exposure a bit quite quickly.
Like, there was a study that says young people aren't watching the news as much, and it's not because we're not interested in news. We definitely are. We want to know what's going on about us, but it's how we're taking that in. And most people that I know are taking that in through social media now, which is like through trends, so hashtags, or just like they'll follow news accounts they trust, and that's how they pick up their news. So I think it definitely impacts, because that's how most young people now are receiving their news.
Getting them to keep abreast of what's happening, what works, how are people consuming their news, you know, do we have to film something slightly differently for the audience to consume it on our mobile device, all of that kind of thing, and being prepared to change very quickly, because, you know, with digital technology, everything's moving so fast that, you know, I think we need to be prepared to be nimble and to learn quickly. So I think digital is an absolute priority of every news outlet. You know, get things done, get them on, get them out there, and it doesn't need to be of the same quality that perhaps you would get with a craft camera and things like that. It's just about getting the information out there and getting the pictures out there. We have to be aware of what is happening within the industry and developments with the technology. It's about picking the right things to go with. I think a lot of people initially, when there were live broadcasting apps, they picked one, whereas a lot of people picked another live broadcasting app, and one's sort of fallen away quite quickly. Another one fell away soon after that. Then there was Facebook Live. So it's about putting your money into the things that, you know, will work, but not investing in everything, but keeping abreast of technological changes so that, you know, we are adept with fast moving and things like that.
For instance, I do a really long commute in the morning. It takes about 2 hours for me to get in, so a lot of the time I'm on the train, but I've got my mobile with me, so from that I can use social media, I can like look at other outlets, what's other radio stations, TV doing, clips from phones, people putting things on Twitter, and from that I can take content and create my news agenda if there's a particularly good story that maybe someone's put on, and I would be able to do that without my mobile, so I think that definitely relates back to it.
I think apps have been a massive change in the way that we work. So, for example, we use WhatsApp all the time. We have a constant WhatsApp group for our newsroom in Glasgow, where you can constantly be feeding information back in. You're not waiting to speak to one person. You can feed information in, and the programme teams can all see the information you're sending in. So it's great in that respect. That might be to say, use the second answer from this clip because and here are the in-words for somebody. It might be to feed in caption details. But it might also be you've turned up for a press launch, quick snap of a press release, and you can send that, and then everyone in the newsroom can see it at once. So it's definitely made a big difference in that respect. Also, when you're liaising with crews, so if you're trying to meet up with a producer or a camera crew or the satellite van when we're doing a live, you can drop a pin from Google Maps and they'll be able to find you very quickly. And again, in terms of delivering our stories to our digital team for the web pages, we can quite quickly again get still shots from a scene or little video clips that we can supply to them, and they can have them online very quickly.
In my opinion, the best thing educators could do to really help students who are at university trying to learn, trying to break into the industry, would be to not be such a dinosaur about it, maybe, like embrace this new technology. A few of my lecturers maybe were a bit sceptical of the mobile journalism, while other ones pushed towards it. I think it seems a bit like, oh, your phone, that's not as good quality, but as the technology in iPhones or Androids increase, they are just as good, sometimes better than the big cameras you use.
I think we've seen a lot of discussion about the role of journalism in the modern era. Because it's so easy, anyone can be a journalist now. You don't need expensive equipment. You can do it from a bog standard smartphone. So the journalism, though, is the ability, I think, to be able to see a story, take in the facts, and then be able to retell that story in a way that everyone can tap into it.